down at the Oak Hall, and the dining room here, and the drawing room, and a few more pieces that I'll take you through later. In 1715, Lord Moore and Brown family built here Ashford House in the style of a French chateau, because by the 1700s, everything French is very much in style. That becomes his country residence here for the fishing and the shooting. As the wealth accumulates, these families all acquire, well, nearly all acquire, a townhouse in Dublin. I don't know, have you done Dublin? Georgian Dublin around Stephen's Green. Stephen's Green was the lawn of the Guinness townhouses in Dublin, which they later bequeathed to the people of Dublin as a public park. But all around there in Marion Square, we call Georgian Dublin, these lovely mansions. They were built in the 1800s. The landowning class have to have a townhouse in Dublin. And the next stage, when the wealth accumulates, a townhouse in London. And ultimately, a nice little country estate in rural England, a little Downton Abbey. And you go then and you live among the civilised classes, and you leave the Irish to their own devices because they're ungovernable anyhow. Yes, and you come here basically for the fishing and the shooting. And these estates are then run by agents. And invariably, the agent is British and Protestant, and they're hated figures in Irish history because human nature hasn't changed one bit. These guys are skimming, making a miserable situation even more miserable. But life is wonderful for the landowning class, and they foolishly and complacently begin to think, you know what, these damn tenants were put on earth to create wealth, and God ordained that we should enjoy it, and what the hell could go wrong? But isn't there always something to go wrong, whatever it is? And what goes disastrously wrong for this landowning class in Ireland is disastrous famine, an inevitable famine, because of the way these estates were, a man-made famine, because of the way these estates are being managed. By the middle of the 1800s, our population has shot up to 8.25 million. There are less than 6 million of us on the island today in damn good economic times. 8.25 million of us, and we all live on the land because industry has passed us by. Potatoes to feed ourselves, wheat and barley to pay the rent, little or no education. We haven't discovered immigration, and backward farming that hasn't improved since the time of the Normans. So you cannot keep growing potatoes in the same piece of ground. You have to rotate. We don't have adequate ground for rotation. Inevitably, as night following day, the potato crop totally fails. We have a disastrous famine. Well over 1 million people starve to death. Well over 1 million more scramble out, mainly over to the east coast of the US, Boston, New York, the beginning of the Irish diaspora in the States. Biggest single defining event in the history of Ireland. It still affects the psyche, the mentality of the Irish-English relationship is still affected by that. You see, it was only a few years before your civil war. It takes a long time. You'll be delighted to know that no one in the house next door here, the Moore and Brown household, starved during the famine. Isn't that just amazing? Not one of them starved. But the famine ruins the landowning class financially, because their stupid miscalculation is their wealth actually depends on the work of tenants out here. But there are no tenants left. So Lord Moore and Brown and all the other landowning class now have a very lavish lifestyle, but he no longer has the income to fund it. And over the next few years, he runs up enormous debts. And banks then, I suspect, were just about precisely the same as they are today. They'll tolerate debt for a while. And in 1852, the bank called a halt here, and we have a fire sale, a liquidation. I think he called it a foreclosure. And just like today, in times of financial ruin, there's always some guy lurking in the background to make a killing, the vulture funds. And the guys with the money in Ireland in 1852 to capitalise on this disaster, the Guinness family from the brewery. They're now in their 5th generation of brewing in Dublin. They are cash rich. They're the richest family in Ireland by a long shot, but they're looked down upon. Penniless Lord Moore and Brown here wouldn't be seen dead with the Guinnesses. They're commoners, no class. They're nouveau riche, and brewing is regarded as the lowest of low-down trades. But Benjamin Lee Guinness has oodles of money, and this guy is Benjamin Lee Guinness has money, and this guy here is penniless. And banks don't count class; they count in pounds or dollars. So after the famine, the Guinnesses buy up liquidated estates all over Ireland for a bargain. And they buy Ashford from the liquidator in 1852, 12,000 acres of land. This house, Ashford House, the ruins of the Norman Tower, and most important to the Guinnesses, the fishing rights and the shooting rights of the whole area. £11,005. The 5 is very important. 11,000 went to the bank for a little portion of the debt, and Lord Orden Moore and Brown got the legal sum of £5 for his signature to relinquish his rights to Ashford. Ouch. Yeah. Orden Moore and Brown is out and into the Guinnesses, into the misery and the destitution of the famine. An absolute godsend. The people around here literally think they have died and gone to heaven. Benjamin Lee Guinness arrives in Ashford and he says, I'm going to create an estate fit for a king. And the grandeur of the place, which I hope you get to enjoy, essentially all paid for by guys drinking that black beer. They mightn't have realised it. But Benjamin Lee Guinness starts employing hundreds of people, creating the forest and the fishery and the grounds and all of this. And unbelievably, never heard of, the guy pays a wage every Friday evening. No one had ever heard of the likes of this before. He provides housing, pension, sick benefits. Generations of your family will be employed by him if you're loyal to him. There are families working here, especially in the dining room and all around, whose descendants came here with the Guinnesses. Generations after generation of them working here. You see, the Guinnesses have money, but they're looked down upon, and they need to climb the social scale a la Downton Abbey, Victorian Britain. They have to impress political families, landowning aristocrats, donate to charities, donate to politics. And Benjamin Lee Guinness has decided Ashford is the place where we're going to do the impressing. Location, fishing, shooting, sailing. So Benjamin Lee Guinness is literally pouring money in here. He never lived here, rarely came to Ashford. Imagine coming from Dublin by horse and carriage at the time. Agents are running the place. He's the Lord Mayor of Dublin. He's Member of Parliament for Dublin and Westminster. He's busy running the brewery. He's busy making money, and he's obsessed with wealth and status at this stage. Status is his obsession. But to his dismay, he dies in 1868, 16 years after he bought Ashford, and he died a commoner. He failed to get title, but he accumulated a lot of wealth. 3 sons and 1 daughter, married to his own first cousin, quite common among these type of people. Marriages have little to do with romance, they're generally property arrangements. In 1868, he bequeaths Ashford to the eldest son, Arthur. And if you're familiar with Stephen's Green, his plinth, his stand, opposite the Shelburne, he's sitting up on a plinth there, he donated it, yeah. Arthur, that's the 3rd Arthur, inherited Ashford. He inherited Ivy House in Stephen's Green, today's Foreign Affairs. St Anne's Raheny, a house in London, half the brewery. He succeeded Dad as the Member of Parliament in Westminster, and most significantly, this Arthur is the first of the Guinnesses to get high education, Oxford, Eton, Trinity. Up to this, they didn't value education, but they have realised that if you want to break into the ruling class, where you go to school is kind of important. Things haven't changed that much, have they? You know? Yeah. That's Arthur. His younger brother Edward, by contrast, gets the other half of the brewery and lots of properties, but he's the workhorse. He goes to the brewery every morning with Dad. He knows the customers, he knows the employees, he knows how to make money. Now, when Arthur inherited this place in 1868, not impressed. Hunting lodge down there in the wilds in the west of Ireland. The peasants down there of no use to me. Agents can run that place. I need to be in London. That's where the people of power and importance are, the centre of the world. Now, as you can imagine, Arthur was a very important guy in Dublin. They had 6,000 employees at that time. But when he gets to London, poor Arthur is a nobody. He's shunned. He's not invited to the cricket parties. Who the hell does this guy think he is? Over from Dublin. No class, lot of money, a brewer. My God. Like, you know. Next step for Arthur into high society, marriage. Her portrait is down there, I'll show you later. By arrangement, in 1871, he marries Olive Hedges White from Bantry House in County Cork, right down on the southern tip of Ireland. Her father is Lord Bantry, with the title going back for generations. Her mother is Jane Herbert from Mucker's House in Killarney, another titled family, and their daughter has just married the richest man in Ireland. But they ain't jumping for joy or anything. Yes, he's very wealthy, but it's an embarrassment. The guy is a commoner. Worse still, he's a brewer. But the deal is purely a financial arrangement. Bantry, like most of these estates after the famine, is indebted up to here. and the bank is just about to. And in return for marriage, the Guinnesses rescued them from the bank.